in the run-up to the budget, the most dreaded word is often tax. So at a time when economic growth is not strong, government is struggling in order to meet the fiscal deficit target. What exactly could the finance minister do in order to widen and increase the tax base? The finance minister at the current juncture is also juggling with several balls. So what can he also do to please Indian capital markets? Let's discuss that with Girish Varmani. He represents KPMG, and Deena Mehta. She is Managing Director with Asit C. Mehta Investment Intermediaries. Deena, Girish, thank you for joining us. Glad you could accommodate this interview request. Deena, let me kick off the discussion with you. Do you think somewhere markets are secretly hoping that finance minister will be able to give a budget bonanza by reducing the STT or by removing the short-term tax?
Actually, if we look at, there is a greater chance of reducing the STT so far as the delivery business is concerned, because some of the interviews that he has given recently, he has talked about his concern relating to lowering of the delivery volume, which has come down to as low as 3%. And he has also talked about our options market going away abroad. Like if you look at the total volume, the SGS Nifty, the options business on Nifty, which was at one point of time about 30% of the total volume, today it is around 56%. So a lot of business has gone away to foreign shores because of the STT which is there. So there is a good chance that there could be reduction in the STT relating to the delivery volumes. But of course, the compulsions that the government has, they have got options either to put CTT, that is the commodity transaction tax, and make up for the loss which is there. So I think somewhere they will try to make up. It will not be a kind of a bonanza, that is a word which you used, but they may try to correct intersay the impact on various segments and try to ensure that delivery volume picks up. So this is my expectation, but again it is going to be a zero-sum game. That is what we all feel. It is going to be a give and take and not just give and give.
Girish, hi, morning. What is it that you think the budget would hold for equities?
I think there are steps already taken prior to the budget too, which support equity. So if you really see the guard deferment, that supports investments into the country. So you have FIIs and people investing through Mauritius who will have a sigh of relief. So they have a 2-year window to feel comfortable that whatever they do will not be taxable. And then the second thing is that will he tinker with security transaction tax? Will he have commodity transaction tax? That's really a debatable area as to whether he will abolish STT or reduce the rate of STT. Clearly, there is a need that, there should be trading, there should be more trading, there should be futures and options that leads to in-depth stock markets. And if you have things like STT which are deterrent to the trading happening, that reduces the debt of the market. And the biggest way to reduce fiscal deficit today is to go out and do PSU disinvestments, sell shares, create a robust market so money moves into productive sectors. If that goal has to be achieved, you have to have strong stock markets, and reduction in STT will surely be a good impetus to the stock markets having more depth. I have read a lot about commodity transaction tax getting introduced, and that's really a very, very dangerous area. If commodity tax has to be introduced, that will really lead to reduction of speculation in the commodity market, which is not good for the depth in the market, which anyway is now building up. Further, there is also a possibility that all these future trades which are today being done by Indians in the Indian commodity stock exchanges will be done overseas. So really, if commodity tax comes in, there may be collections, but will it be good in the longer run will be a very, very big debate. So he will have to deal with this very, very carefully. But a reduction in STT or abolition of STT will surely be most appreciated by the stock markets.
That's an important point and a very important point. What exactly can the finance minister do to bring the retail investor stroke trader back? And let me give you an example. If I look at the total trading which currently is happening on a daily basis in SGX as an instrument, it is far higher than Nifty futures. So what can the finance minister do to bring the overseas trading back into India?
The only point of is the cost is the only point when it comes to between SGX and the Indian markets. I think it is the imposition of STT and moving away from rebate and making it as an expenditure that has been a game changer so far as the business which has moved away from India to Singapore. So I think if that is corrected, we can see some business coming back. That I am quite sure, because cost is the I would say 90% reason why the the money has moved away, or rather the business has moved away. So that is something which cannot be ignored. When it comes to retail investors coming to the market, I think there are a whole host of factors. If we look at the equity markets, last 4 to 5 years there have been hardly any returns, which only last year they went up by about 25%. And if you see, despite market going up by 25%, 55,000 crore worth of stocks were sold by retail investors, and 1,25,000 crore were bought by FIIs. So it is the FIIs, who are having lot more confidence than the people who are closer to home. And there are a whole host of factors which keep retail away. But of course, the primary one is not getting returns. Then, there is the problems with all kind of scams which coming. So, what balance sheet you read, you just don't believe whether this is the right balance sheet or not. So, that plus there are a lot of entry barriers, like Mr. Chidambaram himself other day he mentioned that the kind of KYC that a person has to do if he wants to enter the market, then it is much easier to go and buy a gold coin. So, and even FIIs, at some point of time, the powers which are given to our income tax officers, they can go, and that applies most to security market, because it is totally at the discretion of the income tax officer whether an income can be treated as a long-term gain, or it can be treated as a business income. So these things are they are operational issues which are really bothering the investors. But of course, primary one I said is return. The day market start giving continuous return, investors will simply flock back to the market. So that return has to happen, which will give the confidence to the investors.
Girish, that's a fair point. It is not the transaction cost, it is not the tax structure which is a problem. It is the fact that equity as an asset class has not given any return in last 5 years or 4 years is the key reason why Indian retail investors are not present in Indian equity markets, and the finance minister actually can do precious little to change that.
Actually, I would in a way agree, but in a way I would have a perspective to it also. It's not either this or that. It's a combination of all which make it happen. So yes, tax policies cannot drive the equity markets up, but tax policy also play an important part to the return. So if you have a stable tax regime where you have tax holidays, you have stable taxability of situations, then people are more encouraged to take long-term bets in the market. People look at a longer-term horizon of 4 to 5 years. So today what the international investors are looking at is stability of tax policies, and they don't want these Vodafone-like situations springing up and tax things which were planned to be in a particular way getting disrupted by a tax demand. So essentially, yes, the STT cuts or the short-term capital gains going away will not lead to a boom in the stock market, but they can certainly add to the stability factor and certainty on the returns which people will get, which will hopefully, if all parameters as mentioned, the economy, the inflation, the fiscal deficit, if all that pans out well, if you have this tax certainty, you will have a better investment environment and a climate.
Girish, do you think short-term capital gains should not be abolished because that will only fuel speculation?
Actually, the people who are doing these short-term tradings are mostly FIIs, and they're already through Mauritius. So to the bulk of the investing population, this short-term gains does not apply because they are anyway having a tax exemption under the India-Mauritius Treaty. So the audience which will get impacted with the short-term capital gains tax abolition is very, very small, which are these Indians actually. And there are very few handful Indians who are actually doing these big trades which the FIIs are capable of. So I'm really not sure as to what positive or negative impact this will have. But certainly it's a sentiment booster that, there's one more move to encourage investments into the stock markets.
Dina is shaking her head. Dina, I'm sure you want short-term capital gain tax to be abolished. But Dina, that will fuel speculation.
Not really. I would say, why should we have the foreign investor and the investor not have the same level playing field? It is after all Indian markets and Indian investors, and it is this Indian market prosperity has to go to the Indians. Why do we, we have a situation where the FII person, if he doesn't pay any tax. That is why he is doing it in a big way. I'm sure Indians are capable of doing much bigger business if the, tax regime is at par with what the foreigners get. Continuously siding the FIIs, making everything easy for FIIs. But when it comes to Indians, treating as them as second-class citizens in their own country, I think this is something which I feel very strongly about. And, we need to address these things, that if a foreigner can do something, the Indian should be also able to do a similar thing, because it's not that Indians are less smarter or they have less resources, they have everything in place. So we cannot say, and if foreigners do short-term trading, that is not speculation. But if Indians do, then speculation will go up. What kind of argument is this? I don't buy it. I think we must have equal tax treatment for everybody and have similar opportunities and let people cash on similar opportunities. I think that is very, very important.
Okay, Girish as well as Dina, thank both of you for taking the time out and sharing with us your perspective on the show today.